Well, hello everybody. It's really nice to see you all here. For those of you that have not met me before, my name's Joanne and I work with Louise in the Support and Information Service at the Bone Cancer Research Trust. Before I hand over to Louise to introduce Sarah, today's speaker, just a few points. If you could keep yourself muted while Sarah's talking, it just cuts down on background noise. And also to let you know, we're recording this webinar so that we can put it on our YouTube channel after it's finished. There'll also be an opportunity at the end to ask Sarah any questions you may have. If you'd just like to pop your question in the chat box, and then at the end I'll ask you to put your question to Sarah. So that's all from me. I'll just hand you over now to Louise.
Thanks, Jo. So today we're joined by Sarah, who is a well-known face at Bone Cancer Research Trust. From speaking at previous patient conferences to reviewing some of our children's information, Sarah is no stranger to supporting others through her own experiences. So for our 12th support and information webinar in this format this afternoon, Sarah is going to touch upon her diagnosis of osteosarcoma and her subsequent amputation, and the highs and the lows of learning to live with her new body and the capabilities as she sets out to find happiness and a little bit of love along the way. So thank you so much, Sarah, and we'll hand over to you.
Hello everyone, thank you for that nice introduction, Louise, that was lovely. I'm just going to share my screen with you all now. Hopefully I'll do this right. There we go, I think we've got that up. So yeah, I'm Sarah, I'm 25, I'm from Home Firth. I have a dog called Paddy who's nearly a year old, who's crazy. And as you can see, I'm an amputee. These pictures here are 10 years apart, so on the left I think I'm about 15 and now on the right I'm 25. However, they are about 100 worlds apart, and a lot has gone on in between these times. On the left there, I'm blissfully unaware of the journey I'm about to embark on, and obviously, as you know, on the right now, that's me today. So I see myself as two different people in these pictures, and I'm just going to tell you a bit about my story, starting right at the beginning. If I can get on to the next slide, there we go. So this was little me many years ago, I think probably about 5 or something. So I had a fun and happy childhood. I was never really poorly, I never went to hospital or anything, just quite a normal childhood really. I'm going to fast forward now to 2011. So here I'm about 16 years old, and the Christmas of 2011, me and my family went to Thailand for Christmas. We had a great holiday, we did all sorts. It was quite an active holiday, a lot of walking, sightseeing, swimming. We had a lot of fun, but unfortunately I didn't know that this was going to be the last holiday as I knew it, so I would never have a holiday like this ever again. As I stepped off the plane coming back just after the new year, I felt a pain in my leg, and I spoke to my dad and I said, oh, I've got, you know, this awful pain in my leg, and he said, oh, you must have been sat funny on the plane. So we went, we carried on, and for the next few months I carried on with life and went to college, just did what I was normally doing really. But the pain in my leg got increasingly worse, and I was going to college and having to ask people to stand up so I could sit down in like the bus shelter because the pain was getting quite unbearable. I was taking painkillers, but for some reason I didn't really think much of it. I just thought, I've got this pain in my leg, just carried on. Eventually though, around February time, I did go to the doctors, and the doctor told me he thought that I'd sprained my leg and to carry on taking the painkillers, come back and see him in a few weeks to see if the pain had gone away. Unfortunately, the pain didn't go away and it just kept getting worse. And because nothing was getting better, I went to see a physio. My brother happened to be seeing a physio, so I just popped in at the end of the appointment and said, look, I'm having this problem. My leg was very, well, the physio described it as warm, and my knee had turned inwards, so I think that made him wonder what was going on. However, he I think he thought I'd had a growth spurt and my knee had turned inwards. So he was trying to realign my leg by giving me insoles in my trainers and things, but that didn't work. And I went back to him around the 20th of March, and he said there's something not quite right here. So he sent me for an MRI scan, and that's when I got the news back. So I didn't actually get the news, my mum did, and it was on her birthday and she was driving and it wasn't a great time. So she was told I had cancer, didn't know what, obviously we knew it was in my leg, but we didn't know what kind of cancer it was. She picked me up from college with my dad and took me to the doctors. At this point she knew, I didn't know. They took me into the doctors for them to diagnose me basically, and that's when they diagnosed me with bone cancer, but they were still unsure what it was. So the doctor said to me, you may lose a year out of your life and you might lose your leg. So all in one go I was shocked, and then when they said the word cancer I thought, am I going to die? That was the first thing that came to my head, because I was young and I didn't really know much about cancer at the time. And I genuinely thought it just happened to those people on TV. Like I'd seen it maybe on Children in Need or on films and things, but never to anyone like me. But looking back, I think on the picture of me on the right, I think my eyes look a bit dark and a bit sunken, and I do look very slim. So I guess that was probably a sign, but I didn't really notice that at the time. So I went down to Birmingham for a biopsy the following week. And these are just a couple of pictures of just, I know it might not be great to see, but my leg obviously is quite visibly swollen and larger, my right leg. And on the right picture you can kind of see how my foot's pointing to the right and my knee's pointing to the left. I think the cancer kind of had taken over at this point, my leg. So in Birmingham I got told about my treatment plan and what was to come. I was quite shocked. I didn't realise I'd have to have chemotherapy or anything. So to find that all out, that was a massive shock. I think it was all just a big whirlwind at that time. Can't really remember all of it. I remember getting a phone call a few weeks after Birmingham saying that I had osteosarcoma, because they weren't sure if I had Ewing's or osteo. So when I found that out, then obviously they knew the definite treatment plan I'd be having. The biggest thing for me at the time was hair loss. I was really scared about that. I think amongst everything else, you know, I was going to be so sick and everything, I was mostly worried about my hair. So because I had really long hair and I'd never had it cut short or anything, it was just really hard to come to terms with. But I had my hair cut into a little bob like you can see on the picture, and obviously as it fell out more and things, we thought it's best to just shave it off. So we did, and then I straight away put my wig back on to make me feel like me again, which is the picture at the top there. But I think, like, at the time my hair was massive and I was so worried what people would think about me, and you know, it kind of makes you look poorly. So I think when I was kind of at the time trying to hide the fact I had cancer from people. I don't know, I didn't really want people to know, and that made it quite difficult. So yeah. I think I underestimated as well how poorly and how the treatment would be, because I was so sick. It was just horrific. My doctors described me as one of the worst sickness cases they'd seen. I was already really slim and the weight like literally dropped off me. So I had to get a feeding tube. Well, I had to have a few feeding tubes, which were not nice, but they did help me, so I'm grateful for them. But they weren't, I mean, I was quite sick, so they ended up coming out most of the time anyway. But yeah, the treatment wasn't great, but yeah, I ended up having a few blood transfusion, platelet transfusions, and yeah, everything that comes with the treatment really. So originally they thought they could save my leg and replace the bone with metal, and that was, well, that's what I thought up until, so I was diagnosed in the March. Up until about June time I thought this was the plan, but unfortunately I was told they couldn't save my leg, so in order to save my life they had to amputate. I straight away when I found that out, I just wanted to, well, run away basically. I just thought, I can't do this. I said to the doctor, is there anything else they could do? But there wasn't anything, and I think I was in denial, and I just said, no, I just can't do it. I can't live without my leg. It was like, obviously at that age, very self-conscious about what people thought, and I thought, just couldn't even think about it. But my doctor and my nurse and my social worker, I had a chat with them all, and I came round to the idea thinking, well, I did want to live and I did want to get on with my life, so I guess that was the way forward. So even when we got down to Birmingham, I was still kicking and screaming. I still didn't want this amputation, but I did obviously at the same time want to go ahead with it. It was a bit of such a hard time, but I did have the amputation, obviously, and this was the day after my amputation, and I feel like as soon as I had my leg removed, I just felt like a weight had been lifted. I think the stress of knowing I had the cancer in me, and the fact that the cancer was taking up all my energy and everything, I just felt better just straight after my amputation, really. Like, not better, but I just felt, I don't know, I had more energy, and I don't know, I definitely feel like a weight was lifted. But at this point, I don't feel like my amputation, I don't really know how to put it, but I was surrounded by people that cared for me, and I was getting looked after, and I didn't have to do anything for myself. So it was kind of like, it was as if I still had my leg, because it was just the same. It was like later on that my amputation got to me more, I think at this time I was still getting looked after. I was still, you know, everyone was doing everything for me. But yeah. So after the amputation, I definitely felt obviously as though a weight had been lifted. However, I did have to carry on with chemotherapy, as they told me that they'd found some tumours in my lungs. So I carried on with the chemo then from the July to the following March time. And yeah, same again, like the treatment was not great. It was more difficult, I think, this time, because I was on crutches and in a wheelchair to get around. So even at the hospital, I had to have a commode by my bed, because I just couldn't like get around as easy now, because I was now obviously an amputee. But yeah, I did have some good times in between the chemo and everything, as you can see here, Christmas and Easter and my birthday. This was one of just me and my friends and family in hospital for my birthday. I had a dreaded infection at this time, and I was so gutted. I had plans to have a birthday party outside of the hospital, but unfortunately I was stuck in the hospital. But I think I'd just woken up there. I was full of drugs and I looked very sleepy. But yeah, we made it a good time anyway. So in between like having my treatment and everything, I was learning to walk again, which I think on top of everything I was going through was like another added thing, which was just really difficult. So I went to a physio at my local hospital, and I think I tried to go every week, but with the chemo side effects, that became really difficult. But the people that were there were all so much older than me. I think at this point I was like in denial, thinking, how is this happening to me when there's all these old people, and this shouldn't be happening to me at like 17 I was at this point. But I was definitely determined to walk again, because I thought I want to be able to walk. I couldn't imagine not being able to walk, so I was very determined, and I did try and get up on my leg most days, but it wasn't always possible. I think at that point I thought I should be out with my friends, enjoying time with them, instead of like learning to walk again at 17, but one of them things, I guess, with it. I had to have 2 major lung operations to remove some tumours in my lungs. I just had 2, a met in each lung, so I was quite lucky, really. They removed them, and yeah, after that then it was kind of like going back to normal life as such, but it wasn't normal. It was very strange. So I passed my driving test, which was brilliant, and it gave me more independence and, you know, a bit more confidence. That's my brother there pushing me in a wheelchair. I hated that time. I hated being in a wheelchair. I'm quite an impatient person, and not being able to like walk for myself and stuff, I found that so hard. But obviously I was still learning to walk, so I had to do that, really. I started back at college again, but that was a hard time, because I was 2 years behind now. My friends had gone off to university and I looked like a totally different person. No one knew who I was. Yeah, it was just, I really did not enjoy that time because I was coming to terms with my body, learning to walk. I was on crutches, and I was with a whole new group of people that knew nothing about me, and it was just such an odd time. But I tried to still have fun and do things with my friends, and we went away and, you know, did normal teenage stuff, I guess, but I felt like I still wasn't confident in myself. Obviously my hair was growing back, and that picture of me on the right there at the caravan, literally I hated that picture so much. I really hated it, and I think at that point I was wanting to wear like dresses, but because it was warm, but I felt so uncomfortable having my leg out like that. And yeah, I just didn't really feel myself at all at that point. I definitely still had the chemo effects from, and you can see in my face I'm quite swollen. And yeah, I don't know, I was trying to enjoy myself, but I think deep down it was still quite a difficult time at this point. But I think I tried to turn a corner. I think, like, with the help of my friends, it was a bit easier. So I had my 18th birthday party, which was amazing. It was a bit of a celebration for like finishing my treatment and the 18 months that I'd had and everything. And yeah, started going out with my friends. But I'd go into town and obviously have a few drinks. I wasn't used to it because I hadn't really drunk anything. I just had loads of chemo for the last few years. So that was fun times, but yeah, it was a funny one because I was still coming to terms with my leg, and I was trying to wear high heels as well, so that was not easy. I ended up falling over a few times, but I did have some good times. So me and my family went back to Thailand like 4 years after my diagnosis. I think it was 4 years. And it was a total different experience. So yeah, I was like wearing the same bikini, but my body was like totally different. And I think at this point I was still struggling with it. I was still finding it really hard. People looking at me, that is one thing I think I still struggle with that a bit now, but more back then. I really didn't like people looking at me, and I got a lot of stares on that holiday. I was quite self-conscious, and I think people were looking at my leg as if to say it looks real, but it's not, and a bit confused, and I was confused, and it was a hard time, but I want to say I enjoyed the holiday and it was good, but I think I don't want to say I ruined it for my family, but it wasn't an easy one because I was very self-conscious. I had blisters on my leg because it was the first time I've been abroad with my prosthetic, and it was hot, and yeah, it was nice, but it wasn't the holiday that I'd kind of dreamed of because of how I felt about myself. But I felt like this all changed when I went to Limb Power. So I met hundreds of amputees there, and I'd never like met well, I think I've known a couple of amputees just through like meeting people through having cancer, but I met all these amazing people, and like I was the only person with like covering the leg up, and I thought, what am I doing? And everyone was so proud of their bodies and like what they'd all been through, and it really changed my outlook. Like in 2 days there, I couldn't believe I'd gone through 4 years of trying to deal with it myself, but just meeting these people just changed my outlook completely. Even doing the sport there, I'm sat down without my leg on. That was like the first time in public I'd have taken my leg off because I just wasn't confident before then. But just with everyone around me in the same position, just made me feel so confident. So I also at that time went sailing with the Ellen MacArthur Trust, and I gained a lot of confidence there, I think, mixing with other people who had cancer. But straight after I came back from Limb Power, I went to my prosthetic guy in Leeds and I said, I want you to get my metal out, basically. So I wanted him to take away all that foam and stuff that was hiding my leg and just get my metal out and like be proud of who I am and what I'd been through, because I've been through so much. I thought, why am I hiding it? And yeah, I think just the people in the support network I've met, they just really encouraged me, and it really helped me massively. So I think this might be like a year later, but you can kind of see my metal there, but not much. I have got my metal out at this point. So I won an award at the Examiner Awards, which is like the local Huddersfield newspaper. It was an award for courage. I think it beat off some people that had saved some people in a fire, which I was very shocked about. But that was such a great evening, and I think yeah, I just really enjoyed that night, getting dressed up and like showing off my new metal. So there were a lot of things that I wanted to do now that I'd found a bit of confidence. I wanted to go to V Festival, so we went there for my 21st, me and my friends, and then I've always wanted to go to Ibiza, so I went to Ibiza and it was amazing, and I kind of just wore what I wanted really, to an extent anyway. So yeah, it was just such a good time, really enjoyed it. And like I said, when I've been to Thailand in the previous year, I just didn't feel confident at all, so it was like a real turnaround in my first proper holiday of feeling like myself again, I guess. I also did a few more challenges, so I did a skydive, which was amazing, but I didn't realise that my phantom pains would just go mental when I was falling from the sky. But it was, yeah, it was a really good experience. I'm glad I've done it. And below, this is when I met the Queen, and Prince Philip, actually, you can see him behind. That was like one of the top things. I think it's up there really. She was really lovely, and I don't know, to just meet the Queen, it's just, I never thought I'd be able to do that. It's just an amazing experience, and I'll never forget it ever. So yeah, so on to dating. I'd been on a few dates here and there, but I feel like I could never fully be myself. I was always paranoid, very conscious, you know, when my leg was covered up with the foam, that they didn't know I had a prosthetic and it's breaching that in conversation. Just found it all, quite the thought of it all, very stressful. So then my mum just said to me, why don't you apply for first dates? And I thought, oh my God, like, no, like going on a date public, like in front of hundreds of thousands of people watching, I couldn't dream of it. But I don't know what got into me, but I did apply. And then a few weeks later, when I got accepted to go on the show, I thought, I can't do this, it's too much. So I turned it down and I just said, no, like, don't think now's the right time. So a few months later, and my mum, I'm still moaning I haven't got a boyfriend and no one could ever love me. So my mum's saying, just reapply. So I reapplied for first dates and I got through very quickly, because obviously I'd got through before and I think they were waiting for me to call back. And before I knew it, I was like walking through the first dates doors, meeting Fred, and like sat at the bar having a drink. And then that's when Phil walked in. So that's the first time I've met him. I didn't even know his name when he walked in. And yeah, it was quite an experience. But I always think, like, if I'd have gone on the first date, I wouldn't have met Phil. So I think maybe it was a bit of like fate, I guess, maybe to have met him. So yeah, and I think what I enjoyed also about doing the show was I did have my metal out at this point, and it was nice to show the nation that, like, I had some disability on the telly, like be able to see my leg and see that things are possible. So but yeah, that is Phil, my now boyfriend. So we've done a lot. So since we met each other, we met in February 2017, so we're like coming up to like 4 years soon. And he's just made me feel absolutely so like different, so confident. So what I used to worry about before, I don't worry about as much now. When I go places with him, I don't even like think about my leg. He doesn't even think, you know, I don't think he even realizes about my leg anymore. It's really strange. He's got so used to it. But when I first met him, I was just shocked that somebody could like me and eventually love me with having one leg. Like, all these years had gone by and I've been thinking no one could ever love me, and it was just, yeah, it was so amazing to meet him. And he's really good at pushing me to do things I don't want to do. Well, I do want to do, but I feel scared to do. So last year we went to Centre Parks, and there's obviously the swimming pool there. I thought, I can't go in there. Like, I just felt so self-conscious, and he's like, come on, we're doing it. So like, I'll get my crutches, and I feel so exposed because my leg's out and I ain't got my leg on and whatever. And he just helped me do all that. And like, we went on the slides, but he had to carry me, but good job he's big and strong to do that. And then, yeah, I don't know, it makes me do things and pushes me to do things, which is what I need, because sometimes I just talk myself out of things or think I can't do it. So yeah, we've had lots of fun, and I'm hoping next year when COVID passes we can have some more fun. So I signed up to a modelling agency back in, I think it was around 2017, and it's called Zebedee Management, and I've seen them on Instagram. A few of my friends signed up to them, and I thought, oh, this looks exciting. So I thought I'd sign up and give it a go. And luckily they accepted me onto the books. And then, yeah, I did a photo shoot just to get my portfolio ready. And a few months later, I don't know when it was, maybe 6 months later, I got my first job, and it was to model for River Island. And I was like gobsmacked. I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know, I never in a million years thought I would be modelling for River Island. I always used to love River Island when I was a kid, and I don't know, I guess if this all hadn't happened to me, I don't think I'd have had the opportunity. It's such a strange thing to come about, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I remember doing my first shoot with them, and there was models there who would model for Pandora and these massive brands and things, and they were asking me what I'd done before, and I thought nothing, so I kind of just had to wing it as I went along. So these are just a couple of photos from when I've done River Island before. I also, I think it was 2019, I can't remember, I lose track of the years, but I did Bristol Fashion Week, which was the bottom picture on the left there actually, which was just an amazing experience. I was the only disabled person doing the catwalk, and I think we did the show about 3 times a day for about a week. And it was great. It was hard because I was stood with all these amazing models that were like a foot taller than me, and like they obviously could wear heels, I couldn't wear heels, and it was hard to get my head around at first, but I did really enjoy it. But it was very scary to think these people were all watching me walk, because I was scared of falling and things, but luckily I didn't fall over. That would have been awful. But yeah, I've done a few different shoots with Zebedee now, and I have really enjoyed them. So these a few pictures here of me and my friends. On the right, there's some of my friends who are also amputees. So I've got this group now on WhatsApp called Legs, 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 and it's a group of young women that are all amputees, and it's great. Like the support we have for each other, and we're literally talking every day. It's brilliant. We literally, like, I don't know, I don't have another group of friends that are they're just so similar, because every day, you know, even if you have a sore on your leg, they totally understand, and it's just quite amazing. I love them girls. And then a few more pictures here of just me going crazy and having fun with my friends. Yeah, I went to Creamfield the other year. That was another thing I really wanted to do, so that was great. This was a few weeks ago in Manchester. I'd just gone out with Phil for his birthday for a drink, and there were these girls on the steps, like taking photos of each other, like really bigging each other up and everything. And I was like, oh, Phil, could you just take some pictures of that for me? That would be great. And he was like, oh no, I don't think he'd like taking pictures of me. He gets a bit embarrassed. So I just asked these girls, I said, can you take some pictures for me? And they were amazing. And they were like really making me work it, and they were like filled me with confidence. They were amazing. I don't know who they are, I'll probably never see them again, but they were lovely girls. But I just wanted to show that, because like I would never have dreamt of doing that years ago. I wouldn't have ever felt confident enough. I think a glass of Prosecco may have helped with that one, but yeah, it was just something I wanted to show, because I felt like that was a bit of confidence coming out of me. So this was me just in the summer, and this is like the end of my PowerPoint, but I just feel like now I'm a different person to the one that used to cover a leg, and every experience and person that I've met along the way has helped with my confidence. I really couldn't have done it on my own, and it hasn't been easy, and I still have bad days, and like any normal person does have bad days. But I've realised that life's for living, and I'm so grateful for the second chance, and the new outlook that I have on life now that I would never have had before. And I've become a bit of a yes woman, and I want to try and squeeze everything out of life now. So yeah, that's my story.
Oh wow, Sarah, thank you so much.
Thank you,
That's all right.
Sarah.
That was so good. Could I just
Wow.
just stop sharing your screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. No, that was fabulous. Thank you. It's such a honest telling of your story, and also really uplifting, you know, and just wonderful that the confidence that you've gained over the years, which is allowed to live your life as you want to live it, which is brilliant. I can't see any questions at the moment in the chat function, but I've got one, if I may start with it. What would you tell yourself now, as having lived as an amputee for sort of 10 years, looking back as a 16-year-old, facing an amputation, what would you say to yourself?
I think, I don't know, that I'd tell myself quite a lot, really. I'd tell myself that I'd be all right. Like, I think I was so worried that I wouldn't, and I think I'd tell myself that you will be able to live a life again, and like a good life as well, not just existing. You'll be able to do the things you want to do. You may, like, I'd probably say to myself that I'd have to adapt. So some things I've had to adapt, and they haven't been as easy, but when I've then been able to do them, I've enjoyed them more, because it's, you know, like an achievement. Yeah, I'd just tell myself to do everything that's like thrown my way, you know, say yes to things, just enjoy it, because like obviously that year of going through that awful treatment and everything, want to make all that worth it and just live a full life, really.
That's brilliant.
Can I ask a question as well whilst we're still waiting for this? So the dating side of things, you talked about going on first dates and obviously meeting the lovely Phil. What sort of advice or kind of tips have you picked up from going on first dates, or, you know, just dating generally after your cancer treatment, that you might want to pass on to others, or, you know, just things that you've learned?
Yeah, so I think I'm trying to have a think now. I feel like there shouldn't be like shouldn't be a pressure on, you know, going on dates and having to explain my leg. Like, I felt like I had to explain my leg to people, and I feel like I don't know, for someone to get to know you first is like more important, I feel, than to find out about your leg. And, you know, I know my leg was covered at the time when I was like dating, and I think I should probably just have got people to like know me first, rather than thinking, like, worrying the whole time about explaining my leg and everything, because that isn't me really. Like, this is me, kind of thing. So yeah, but I think being yourself is just really important, because then you'll meet someone that's good for you and right for you, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
That's all right.
We've got a question from Marcia. Marcia, would you like to unmute yourself and ask Sarah, if that's okay?
Hello, Marcia.
Hi.
Hi.
Spoke a few years ago, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. It was lovely.
Supported me with my son Alex before he had his amputation. So thank you, and it's lovely to see you today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's lovely that you're watching today. Thank you.
I just about made it, didn't I? Very wrong. I'm just interested to know. I mean, I saw you with your blade on the slide presentation.
Yeah.
The other sports that you do, that you enjoy doing, and sort of what are the challenges that you find, you know, with the sports that you do?
Yeah. So for about a year now, my socket hasn't been fitting for my blade, so I've not been able to use it as much as I'd like to, really. But this last month I've now got it fixed, so I can get back running again. So I've not really done much sport for the last couple of years, but when I've been to like Limb Power, I've done different things and tried different sports, which has been really exciting. But I would like to do more. I think sometimes I feel like there's a barrier there, like, where do I go? Because if I go to a normal running club, is that all right? Or, you know, am I meant to go to one specifically for, you know, my disability? But I don't think these clubs exist. I'm not even sure. But I think I feel as though there's a barrier. I'm letting there be a barrier there. There shouldn't be. I would like to, I think, in this next year, try and get in with the sports club and do some more running. But I think I really enjoy swimming as well, because I feel then you don't need to have a prosthetic on and you can just swim freely, kind of thing. And it's obviously really good for your body, all your body as well. But yeah, I really do want to get back into my running need to do that this next year.
Was that one of your favourite sports before your surgery, Sarah?
Yeah, I used to love running because I was quite quick. I was like a sprinter, and I've always thought, oh, if I could get into sprinting with my blade, it'd be brilliant. But it's so much harder, like running with the blade than, I mean, yeah, it's different because I guess you've got your real leg and then you've got your blade, and it's like running with two different. Don't know, it's quite difficult, really. And I fell over once on it, and I get a bit nervous now because I think, oh, if anything ever happened to my little leg and I broke it or anything, like I'm gonna, it's just a horrible thought.
Yeah.
I've had a lovely comment from Sue White, Sarah. She's just said that she's been an amputee for 54 years from the age of 10, and that your story really resonated with her.
Oh, wow.
She's lovely.
54 years, amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned in your talk about the turning point of going to Limb Power and seeing other people and how much support you get from your legs group. I mean, would you, for other amputees, would you recommend trying to meet with others? Because you've obviously found it a huge, tremendous, source of support. Would you recommend that for others as well?
Absolutely. I've got one of my legs friends here, Sandra, watching. Yeah, definitely, like meeting people with amputations, and I can't even explain it. It's just been so amazing to meet these people, and the confidence they've given me and the support and everything. Like, I feel like I'm so much richer from meeting these people. Like, I would never have met them. And like, to have a group like I've got, I think it's just great. And because obviously I was quite young when I lost my leg, and all your friends are just able and fine and great and whatever, but to have, I don't know, just have that support and to have friends that really can relate to you is just amazing.
Yeah, I love the way you say about getting your metal out as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's just brilliant. For a young child that's just going through an amputation or just gone through an amputation, to see you walking around proudly with your short skirts on and your leg, it looks brilliant. It's just it's so inspiring. It really is.
Thank you. That's brilliant. Did Sandra want to say something then?
I was just going to type it. Show your metal, METTLE, by showing your metal.
That's great. That is very good. I like that.
And I was there when Sarah made the conscious decision to take off her foam leg.
Yeah.
And she messaged me maybe a week later and said, "I've done it, Sandra," and sent me a photo.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of her. So proud of her.
Oh, thank you so much. I do remember,
person.
Oh, wow. I know, because people like you guys really didn't realise I was an amputee because I had it all covered up and everything like that. And so brilliant. Thank you, Sandra.
Oh, thank you.
And you kept quiet about meeting the Queen.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that was just a little thing, that I did.
Just on a Thursday afternoon one time. Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah, it was
well, I can't see any more questions. Have you got another question, Louise? Or
you sort of touched upon it, but it's sort of looking back at some of those photos that you showed, and when you had the photo taken outside of the static caravan, you said you really didn't like that photo, and that was a really hard time. Kind of as you were looking, you said puffy, a little bit puffy from chemotherapy and steroids and things. Can you talk us through a little bit through that process a bit more? So kind of what really wasn't helping you at that time, but then what kind of got you out of it? You mentioned your friends a lot. I just wondered if there's anything more specific about that time that really was really bad, but also really good as well.
Yeah, I was trying to think back because I never really know what that exact thing, was, but I do remember really not my appearance at that time. I just felt awful in myself, just so awful. And I don't know, I feel like time really helped me, as time went on, and maybe I did lose a bit of weight and I felt a bit better in myself, and it just helped massively. I did consciously try and lose some weight because I didn't feel like me, because obviously before I was quite slim, and look the way I looked, you know, on that first picture, and then to go to looking like, oh, I've got really short hair and like a really round face, and I just really didn't feel like me. And I did lose some weight and get more active, I guess, on my leg, which then in turn helped me with my leg and my walking and stuff, and that really did help me. And like I say, I always think just time going by, like that also helped me massively. And I know time's a bit like, oh well, sometimes things take a long time and you want it right now, but I think it's definitely worth it, and it might take a bit of time.
Yeah, no, that's really good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's great. Okay, well, has anybody else got any other questions for Sarah? No worries if you haven't. That's fine. Okay, well, I think all that's left for me to do is to say a massive thank you to Sarah once again for a wonderful talk. You really are fantastic. I think you're brilliant.
Thank you.
And just to let you know, our next webinar will be on the 3rd of December, and that's with Kate Stillman, who was in the military, had a promising career in the military, had Ewing sarcoma in her jaw, had to cut short her military career, but basically she's coming to talk to us about resilience and the importance of a positive mindset and how she's changed her life to adapt to her new career. So if you could join us then, it's on the 3rd, as I say, at 1 p.m. That'd be fantastic. So just all I need to say now is goodbye to everybody, and hopefully see you soon.
Thank you for watching, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 See ya.